Hi, it's Anna McKinley here. Thanks so much for joining me. And wow, we're at the start of the second week of November. Can you believe it? Only 6 weeks left in 2020. And I'm sure a few of you will be breathing a sigh of relief about that. Thank goodness this year's almost over, right? But, I've been thinking about that over the weekend because, 2020 is finishing. 2021's about to start in just over 6 weeks' time. And, I've been thinking about, well, firstly, if there was one overarching theme to 2020, what would that be? And from my perspective, there is such a theme, and it is emotional resilience. Because pretty much everyone all around the world, no matter where you live, no matter your circumstances, 2020 has taught all of us that sometimes things happen that are outside our control. And it's our ability to pivot, to adapt, to respond to change in a way that is resilient and resourceful that determines our outcomes. I think we've all learned that the tough way this year. So what sits behind our ability to adapt, to pivot, to respond, to persist in times of hardship? It is emotional resilience. So for me, that is the theme of 2020. And, who knows what 2021 is going to bring as well. We still have some uncertainty ahead of us. So that emotional resilience is as important now, if not more so than ever before, which is why I'd like to share with you a mindset shift that can help you to create more emotional resilience for yourself in your life, so that whatever's coming next, you have the tools to be able to adapt positively and resourcefully to the challenges of life. How does that sound to you? Cool. So let me just start with a little bit of a personal story, because I learned this lesson a number of years ago. I dug myself into a deep hole in my life. I was overwhelmed, and I was in quite a dark place. I was very unhappy. And, that was a combination of things, but actually fundamentally, the reason why I was so unhappy is because I'd put myself in a situation of a victim in life. I was overwhelmed, I was overworked, I never had enough time, all of these types of things. But my response to all of that was to find other people to blame. I blamed my manager, even though she had her own stuff going on and she actually didn't know enough about what was happening for me to be able to actually do much about it that would be helpful for me. I'd blame my husband, who was doing his best to support me. I blamed, pretty much anyone and everything. I'm ashamed to admit that sometimes I even blamed my children for the way that I felt, when it was completely outside their control. It was just, it's a lot more comfortable sometimes to be able to blame other people or outside circumstances than to look inside and say, what can I do about this situation? But that is what finally changed my life. I still remember the moment that just clicked, and I had this massive light bulb go off in my head, and I realized that actually, no matter how well-intentioned the people around me are, they can do their very, very best, but they still cannot fix things for me. The only person who can actually change things is me, because I'm the only person who knows what it's like to be me. I'm the only person who knows what's going on internally. I'm the only person who can draw on my own personal strengths. I'm the only person who really has the best idea of what it is that I want in life. No one else can do any of those things for me. So that was my big light bulb moment, when I realized that actually the only way I can get myself out of the hole I've dug myself into is by taking an attitude of personal responsibility. Now, I don't know about you, but I used to find that term quite uncomfortable, personal responsibility. I suppose it took me back to all of those times when I was younger, when people would say, it's time to learn some responsibility here, Anna. And of course, the younger me really hated that. So part of that idea was really uncomfortable for me for a number of years. But there's another aspect to it as well, because if we take personal responsibility for ourselves and our lives, it means that the buck stops here, doesn't it? And that can feel a bit overwhelming for us. But what I'd like to do is really boil it down and simplify this for you, because it's not just me. I've worked with many, many clients over the years and helped them adopt this mindset in their lives. And many, many, many other people around the world use this approach. It's a fundamental cornerstone, first to emotional resilience, but also to creating the results that you want in life, whatever that is. This attitude of personal responsibility. But what is it really? I mean, what does it mean? Stephen Covey actually put this very, very well in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Great book. I strongly recommend it if you haven't yet read that one. But one of the habits is actually built around this concept of taking personal responsibility. And the insight, which Stephen Covey shared, and this was the light bulb that went off for me, is that actually we all have a fundamental power in life. And it doesn't matter how bad things get, how tough things are, whatever happens externally, and no one and nothing can ever take this power away from you. This is something that you always will retain power over. What is that? It's how we choose to respond to the circumstances in our life. The people, the stuff, the unanticipated events, all of that, no matter what happens, you retain the power to choose how you respond, as do I. And it's by using that power and being conscious about how we choose to respond to the things in life at an emotional level in the first place, which then gives us the resourcefulness to decide how we're going to think, speak, and act in response to things. So the way that Stephen Covey put this so beautifully is if we take that word responsibility, we can actually divide it into 2 words. It actually is 2 words: response, ability. We all have the ability to choose our response to our circumstances. And it's how we use that choice that determines the results that we get in life. So for me, when I had this realization, that's when my life changed. That's when I realized that actually it doesn't matter how bad things feel, I actually do have power in this situation. Now, I had the choice. I could keep playing the blame game and keep digging myself into that hole of victimhood. Or I could actually choose to change things by choosing to change my emotional response, build my emotional resilience muscle, and actually create a different result. So I've got a quote which is relevant to this up behind me. You could probably see it, which is from Jeff Olson, wrote another great book called The Slight Edge. And as he puts it, a person can fail many times, but no one is a failure until they begin to blame someone else. That's what I was doing. My whole life changed when I stopped. So how do we actually put this into practice? Are you up for the challenge of taking control over your life, building more emotional resilience, and being actually able to create the experience you want in life by choosing your response to whatever circumstances come your way? If that sounds like something you'd like to have a play with, here's a very, very simple way to do it. Like any journey, it's all about the tiny little steps, right? It's not like here's a silver bullet, there's a magic pill, take it and everything's fixed. It's about taking the little steps and just practicing building this muscle. How do we put it into practice? When something happens in your life and you feel an emotional response, notice it. If you feel a negative emotional response, pause and take a few deep breaths. As human beings, the thing is we tend to have automatic emotional responses to our circumstances, and that'll be based on stuff that happened years and years and years ago. Here's my kind of go-to response. So we can either go with that automatic, or we can interrupt the pattern. We can notice we're having that emotion. We can stop, we can pause. I recommend taking a few deep breaths, at least 3 deep belly breaths, because when we do that, it helps to dial down the emotional intensity, and so that we can actually choose from a place of a bit more resourcefulness. And that's what we want to do. We notice we're having the emotional response, we take a few deep breaths, we create this space to choose, and that's the time to ask yourself, How do I choose to respond to this situation? What would the most resourceful response be for me in this circumstance? And you can choose how you're going to respond to whatever it is. And it starts by choosing, what is the story that you're going to tell yourself about this? What is the interpretation we're going to put on whatever it is that's happened? Because by doing that, by choosing our story, by choosing our interpretation, by choosing the perspective we take on things, we are choosing our emotional response. And it is our emotional response that then underpins how we think, how we speak, how we act. And guess what? That's what determines our results in life. So how about it? You up for it? Practicing response ability, practicing using the most fundamental power you have to create what you want in life and to experience what you want in life. If you're up for it, give it a go and let us know how that works out for you. And hey, look, I'd love to hear what you think about this concept. If this is something, an approach, a mindset that you've been actually playing with yourself already, scroll down now and share with the rest of us. Share how it's been working out for you and your thoughts and experiences. If this is new to you, scroll down and share your thoughts and responses as well. And I'd love to hear how it goes. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope that you have a great day and a great week. And I hope that this has served you. See you again on another video soon. Bye for now.